we have an epidemic of stress. And first of all, congratulations for realizing it's a problem. Tragically, a lot of us don't even realize it's a problem anymore. We've gotten to the point where we just accept it as a part of life. When it's killing us. It's killing us mentally. It's killing us physically. If you wake up in the morning one day and you take your temperature and you've got, 102-degree fever, and you ask everyone, what's your temperature? And everyone says 98.6. You're going to realize, I've got a fever. And you'll go to the doctor. And you'll get medicine. You'll take rest. You'll take care of yourself. You'll understand there's an infection in me. And I have to treat it. But if you wake up with 102-degree fever and you ask everyone around you, what's your temperature? And they all say 102. You'll realize, oh, that's normal. Now, the infection is still ravaging your body, regardless of whether it's ravaging everyone else's or not. But because everyone else also says they have 102, we tend to disregard it then. We think, oh, okay, that's normal. Without realizing, I have an infection ravaging my body. And this is what's happening with stress these days, is instead of realizing it as an infection that is killing me, everywhere I look, everybody says, oh yeah, oh my God, I'm stressed too. Oh yeah, I'm stressed too. Go to your doctor, they'll write you a prescription for this. I've got one, it's really helped me. You should also take it. Have a few shots of this before you go to sleep at night. It works wonders. There's all sorts of ways to numb ourselves. And that has become the new normal. So, congratulations for realizing it's a problem. The cause of stress is our expectations of how things should be. And we have these expectations rooted in the belief that who I am, my value, my worth, my purpose, my meaning is embedded in my success, my job, my role, my societal, where I am. That's not just a grade in school. It's not just a way to put bread and butter on the table. But that is who I am. And if my grades in school, if my job, if my bank account, if that's who I am, well, yeah, it's stressful then, because there's a lot of competition out there. And this is where that comes from, is this model that says, A, you are how much money you make. You are your degree. You are your job. You are your place on this ladder. High on the social ladder, high on the career ladder. You're very worthy. You're a great person. Everybody wishes they could be you. You feel like, wow, 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 wow. You're low? Not only are your grades not so good, not only are you not making so much money, but your very worth as a being is low. And so that becomes very stressful, obviously. The key is to realizing the fallacy of that belief. Because it's my belief that causes stress. We think the world has made me stressed or my job has made me stressed. No, it hasn't. What has made me stressed is my belief that I am my performance. I am how well I do. I am how much money I'm making. I am where I am on this ladder. If I'm not attached to that, then there's no stress. If we can shift our focus from success as per the external world's version of success, which is really this push everybody out of the way to get ahead. Because there's only room for one at the top, right? So you've got to leave everybody behind. You've got to push them out of the way. You've got to step on people's heads. You've got to work 100 hours a week forsake everything else. And you still may not get it. I mean, it still may not happen. There's still no guarantee. But if you want it, that's what you have to do. If we could shift that model from success as per that model to sincerity, if our highest goal could shift from what some standardized testing person deems my worthiness as per my how many circles I filled in correctly on some standardized test, or what some boss who may or may not be enlightened, let alone even clear-headed, who may be going through their own karmic drama, who may not like the way I look, who may not like the way I dress, who may be having an affair with my colleague and therefore promoting him or her instead. Who knows all the reasons? But if my focus, instead of being on success, could be on sincerity, how sincerely have I done my job? And if I could view my own sense of success based not on some external person's rating of me, whether it's circles I fill in, whether it's an exam I take, whether it's how I perform at my job, however it may be, whether it's what I look like. If my success could be based on how sincere I was, then it's all up to me. Because the problem with the rest is I don't actually have any control over it. I can do my best and the promotion could still go to somebody else. I could do my best and I could still fail the exam. I could do my best and still not get the job. But that doesn't actually say anything about my self-worth. It just says, okay, I'm not a very good test taker. Or I didn't study the right material. Or I didn't properly understand it. That particular boss did not appreciate my... Fine. Again, going back to the first question, okay, there will be people who don't see you as somebody they want to love, like, respect. Fine. But if I've put my self-worth in their decision about me, then yeah, it's stressful. But I'm not going to change it by changing the outside world. I have to change it by changing how I think. And so the only way to beat stress is to change the belief that my life's purpose, my worth, is rooted in how well I do in school, what kind of job I have, how much I make, how socially popular I am, what the neighbors think. Think about how many people have lost their lives to stress, worried about what the neighbors think. Right? I mean, how sad. What an incredibly tragic waste of human time and energy in what the neighbors think. Samne wale kya sochega? I mean, seriously. How much of our energy goes into that? If we can let go of that belief that I am what Samne wale thinks I am, the vast majority of the stress dissipates. Let your focus be simply on sincerity. Set your own mark. I'm going to judge myself based only on how sincere I was, not based on the fruits of that. Right? I mean, this is Bhagavad Gita 101. Do not be attached to the fruits of your labor. That causes stress. Because it's not in my hands. You have no control over it. There's a story I tell a lot about that, but I'll tell you anyway, which is when I moved from Palo Alto, where I was living in a house, to San Francisco, where I was living in an apartment. In Palo Alto, we had a nice backyard, and I had plants. In San Francisco, we didn't have a backyard. We had a windowsill. And I used to love to cook. I still love to cook. I just don't have any time. But I used to love to cook. And I would grow the herbs that I would use for cooking. When we moved to San Francisco, I set these potted plants of herbs outside our kitchen window. And they didn't grow. And they didn't grow. And they didn't grow. And I could see that the neighbors' ones were growing, so I knew the temperature was right, the climate was right, the rain was right. Wouldn't grow. And again, I would go and I would buy new, nice organic seeds, and I would plant them again. Didn't grow, didn't grow, didn't grow. And I started to actually get really upset about this. Like, my whole self-worth started to be rooted in the fact that I couldn't even grow a pot of basil. Like, what did I think about myself? I mean, literally, how hard can it be to grow a basil plant? Wouldn't grow, wouldn't even sprout. Would change the dirt, change it, nothing worked. So one day I come back from school early in the afternoon. Usually I would come in the evenings, but I came in the afternoon one day early. And I see this cat that we had adopted from a friend of mine in the pots outside the windowsill. He was an inside-outside cat, so he would go in and out. In the windowsill plants, going. And the cat was tossing the dirt all over the ground. Now, the piece of the puzzle that I had forgotten in deciding that I was of zero worth since I couldn't grow a pot of basil was that in the move from Palo Alto to San Francisco, we had adopted this cat of a friend of mine who was moving out of town. Now, I share that story with you, and I love the story because it's so easy to think that our failure in something is due to something wrong with us. And in this case, it's just such a funny story that the failure was due to this cat throwing my dirt all over the place. But this is the truth with life. Whether you fail because a cat has thrown your dirt all over the ground, or you fail because the person giving the promotion or giving the job didn't like your shirt, or was having a bad day, or, as I said, is having an affair with somebody else, or was looking for something different, who cares? There's a reason, and it has nothing to do with your self-worth. We are not the number of bubbles we can fill in correctly. That is not a determinant of who we are as people. It's a determinant of how well we can fill in bubbles. That's it. How well we can take standardized tests. Fine. Well, that's not, as far as life goes, a skill that you need very frequently once you're out of school. But we invest in that. I mean, this is where all of those tragic student suicides come. Right? I mean, literally. Based on how many of those bubbles they filled in correctly. As though somehow that had anything to do with their self-worth, their value as people. But this is that stress. And so you have to change your belief that who you are is something to be judged by others, that who you are is something to be judged by a test reading machine or a boss sitting somewhere or whatever it may be. Who you are is between you and God. And what matters is your sincerity. What matters is how deeply are you fulfilling, not due to success that someone else determines, but due to your sincerity, your commitment, your dedication, your duties. Sincerity is what matters. The fruits are in someone else's hand. And the minute you realize that, the stress dissipates. And until you realize that, you will continue to be burdened by stress. And so you're lucky that you're young. It's something to learn as soon as you possibly can. There's a beautiful teaching on this given by Puja Swami Dayananji Maharaj, who was an incredible saint who used to live right across the river from us. He took Mahasamadhi several years ago, and he used to say, success has nothing to do with what you make or anything. Success is how you respond to the inevitable times when the universe does not act the way you think it should. That's the only definition of success that matters. How we respond to the inevitable times. They are inevitable. Doesn't matter how spiritual you are. Inevitably, the universe will act in ways at certain times that not what you wanted, not what you thought should happen. How do you react then? That is your definition of success. Commit your life to changing how you react when the universe does not act according to how you think it should. Let that be your definition of success, and everything else will fall into place. And your stress will dissipate. And meditate. And do yoga. Because these are ways of connecting with the self. Brings you back to who you are. So make sure, even if it's short, I know you may not have that much time, but even if it's short, a few minutes, check in. Just get connected. Remember who you are, other than somebody else's view of you.